All right, let's see if this works. Ah. Mhm. Just waiting for people to show up. Hey, look at that. Hello, Dark Father Paul. I'm not even going to try that. Abuhanik? Crazy Blaze. Oh my goodness. Look at all these wonderful people. Hang on, guys. I'll be right back. Hey, guys. Welcome. Welcome. Thanks for all the love and understanding. And yeah, I've been through a little bit of a tough time. I thought I'd wait for a few people to get here and then I can kind of explain what went down. And then we can get into some crazy weirdness if you guys want. Hello, Jacksonville, Florida. That's near where my brother lives. Smash that like button. Ay, ay, ay. You guys are the best ever. Seriously. I haven't been on the show Ghost Hunters for years, and the support you guys pour out to me is amazing, and it means a lot to me because the paranormal means so much to me. It's so nice to see people rock and rolling. Hello from France. Hello. Holy moly. Louisiana. I was just down there. New Orleans. Oh, so I guess I'll get right into it. So the past few months, my my mom has not been doing well. They had a hard time figuring out what was wrong with her. She was dealing with a lot of pain, and they found out maybe a little too late that she had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is usually very treatable. But she was already in a pretty weakened state. Mississippi, hello, in Connecticut. Um, so what happened is they started giving her chemo, and the word was, hey, she's got a better than 50% chance. And so we were all excited. And there was a lot more to this, but they complicated it. But part of what was wrong is that she started into dementia. So it was really tough. She wasn't quite there. You get these moments of lucidity where you just, all of us kids, my two brothers and two sisters, were all there, and we were able to say, let her know that, hey, mom, we're happy. If you've got to go, go. But needless to say, she did 2 rounds of chemo, and it was working, but they said that she wouldn't survive a third round. So um, I was already on a trip when that happened. You guys can hear me all right, right? Um, I was already on a trip when that happened and went down to Florida. I was able to say goodbye and be there for my dad. But the road to that day where my mom passed away was such a long, rocky road. I couldn't focus on anything else. I love doing the videos for YouTube. I love interacting with you guys. I like having fun. But I just couldn't do it. I had to be there for my dad, and for my brothers and sisters. So anyway, uh, that's just one of the few things that happened. So I'm back. I'm back. I'm wiser. I'm a little more. Um, I don't know. I've had people near me and close to me pass away, but I mean, this is my mom. Anyway, so let's get into it, guys. This is a live streaming Q&A. Um, as you guys come up with some questions, I can just tell you that I took my time. For me, it was really interesting when I knew my mom was not going to make it. I happened to be back in Rhode Island, taking my son Jonah to visit some of his friends that he hadn't seen in years. And so I was back at my parents' house and at the house I used to own. We know the people who bought it. So it was very nostalgic. And to know that my mom wasn't going to be around anymore, I was in the most perfect setting for that. I could remember all the good memories and all that. And my 15-year-old, who's 15 going on 45, he just said, "Dad, take a minute. You got to take a minute." And so I did. I went into the bedroom and, for about 2 hours, just let it all out. And I felt better afterwards. I felt like I could be excited for my mom. My mom was pretty religious, and she spent her whole entire life um, preparing for this day, preparing for heaven and all the good stuff that comes with it. So I felt like once I had really let it sink in and mourned, I was able to then almost mentally high five my mom, like, go out there, have fun, and I'll see you soon. So, okay, woo. Okay, so let's see. Idaho, hello, Idaho, St. Louis. Look at you guys coming from all over the place. This is great. You guys are so understanding. Yeah, just about everybody said, "Look, Grant, take the time you need. We get it." And the love that was poured out by you guys, I passed that along to my family and of course to my mom. And that's amazing to me. How much love and support you guys have. I could feel all the good vibes. And I'm not psychic, but you can tell. I could tell I had literally thousands of people pushing for my family. Okay, Portlandia, Pennsylvania. All right, let's see if we got a question here. Grant. Okay, Jeff Smith just drops the gauntlet. Grant, can you tell me, please, what happened to you when you were younger that got you into the paranormal field? Thank you so much. Okay. Well, there's a reason why I don't talk too much about it. I've started talking about it more. And I'll do some videos about it, excuse me, later on in YouTube. I don't like to talk about it too much because it's very different. Hello, Arizona. It's something that when I told people about it, they looked at me like I had three heads, and I don't like that feeling. I mean, I've worked for 30 years to build my credibility to this point. And so what happened, I won't ever tell all the details because I need some validation from people who say they share the same experience as me. So what's that purple thing on the bookshelf? That's a Murloc from World of Warcraft. He's like a frog person. There you go. It's a zombie one. Anyway, this is going to challenge my ADD. So, anyway, when I was 15, the way I was raised, ghosts were not strange to me. The fact that when we die, we might remain here on the earth a little bit made a lot of sense. So I didn't think too much about it. Ghosts for me were campfire stories and Halloween and, Ghostbusters and things like that. But something happened when I was 15. I started seeing something while we were hanging out and playing in the woods with my two best friends. And it started off like a shimmer, kind of like the Alien and Predator, just this distortion. And the more every day I kept experiencing this thing. And my friends could see the effects of it, but they couldn't see it. And I thought I was going crazy. So at one point, the entity, the thing, which was about 3 feet tall, it became very clear. I could see it as clearly as I would another person. So I at one time it started mimicking one of my friends. It started doing exactly what he was doing. So I had my friend stand behind me, and I proceeded to tell him all the stuff he was doing because this entity was mimicking him. And that made me feel a little more validated that I wasn't going crazy. But for years to come, day after day, I got to see this thing, and it got more and more intense. I started seeing other things, and the best way I could describe it is, maybe elemental activity. It wasn't a ghost. It wasn't a person. It wasn't crypto. It was not a devil. It didn't feel bad or particularly good. It was just kind of indifferent. And so I really to this day, I still experience this elemental activity, and I've talked to a lot of people who say that they've had these experiences, but I don't necessarily believe them. Because then when I tell them my experience or I hear theirs, they're radically different. So I mean, I've talked to so-called experts in Ireland and Norway and all over the world, and I don't know. I don't know. It's a big, long story that someday, maybe through the YouTube channel, I'll slowly dole out um, and gauge how crazy you guys think I am. Anyway, that I didn't decide that. I didn't go looking for it. It came to me. I didn't have a choice in it. So, having this happen in my life, I started to, of course, explore and try to figure out what it was, so on and so forth. I found I was able to help people with their paranormal experiences. Um, in hopes to get answers to mine. All right, let's go. I see your story. Oh, okay. Somebody read that story in my book. Yeah, well, there's a lot more to it. What you read in the book is just a very tip of an iceberg. To this day, it's still a mystery I'm trying to solve, and it evolves and it grows. What was my favorite place to investigate on ghost hunters? Well, I loved the homes. I love helping homeowners get a grip on what's going on in their house. But as far as places you could visit, I mean, I've been to the Stanley Hotel over 25 times. I love that place. It's beautiful, it's active, and it's non-threatening. I've never had a bad experience there. We've had some drastic things. We had a chair flip over in front of 6 of us. We had a chair fly off a stack of chairs and land on the floor. We've had all sorts of crazy stuff. Let's see. Why do you think some people have paranormal experiences while others can go their whole lives without one? That's Amy asked that. Um, well, we all have different levels of sensitivity. So it's not a switch that you turn on and off. So, you're not either a psychic or you're not. We all have certain sensitivities and they activate at different times. Um, now, most people are going about their day. They get up, they're focused on what they got to do, they eat breakfast, they go to work, they're absorbed with work, they come home, they're absorbed with family, and then they conk out. Most people aren't in a situation where they're exposed to paranormal activity and ready to experience it. That doesn't happen very much. And even if you do, like over my 30 years, I've developed a knack for it. I mean, I can find it pretty quick and I know how to work with it to get the activity to happen. But if that's not your forte, so to speak, if you don't have that experience, then you may have paranormal activity happening around you, but you don't know how to identify it. So it's about um, finding out what your sensitivities are, growing them, and putting yourselves in a situation where there's a high potential for paranormal activity and you're ready for it. Because you could be walking around the Stanley Hotel at somebody's wedding, and there could be ghosts walking around, and you're not ready for it because you're focusing on the wedding, if that makes sense. James, no, Stephen King has not investigated the Stanley with me. Wait a minute, Jess. For the Alliance, what? For the Horde. Oh, this expansion of World of Warcraft is making it hard, but still for the Horde. Maybe not for Sylvanas. Anyway, let my geek show a little bit there. Do you think ghosts from different time periods can see and interact with each other? Yes, I absolutely do. Excuse me. There's some weird things that happen out there. I mean, I've been on investigations where, you've got an intelligent entity, which is just a dead person you can talk to and interact with, and a residual haunting, which has no intelligence behind it. It's just a movie basically playing. I've had the intelligent entity reacting to the residual haunting. Or you'll have many times you'll have cases where an older spirit is working with newer spirits. And I'm not saying like an old man and a child, but a spirit who's been dead longer, maybe from, 17 or 1800s, is interacting with entities from more modern times, maybe the 1950s. Oh boy, here we go. Sorry, you guys, talking too fast for me. I don't know. Let's see. What Let's see. Okay, Miriam asks, Miriam, yeah, do the shadows or apparitions decide to show themselves to me, or do I see them because I have a talent? Um, Probably both. I'm pretty much 100% convinced that most entities don't have control over when they show themselves to us. A lot of people would say, "Oh, if I was a ghost, I would be dancing in front of the camera and making sure you saw me if I needed help." Well, and they use that to say, well, maybe ghosts don't exist. And I say, well, maybe they are dancing in front of the camera, but the environmental conditions aren't right in such a way that they can show themselves. But the thing you might have to watch out for, Miriam, is that if you do have a talent for seeing entities, um, usually if you see them clear enough, you'll see them notice you looking at them, and then they'll come closer to you, or they'll spend more time with you because they'll recognize that you see them, and then maybe you can help them, or just hang out with them for a minute. Um, Imagine being in a room full of hundreds of people, and you're trying to get all their attention and they're not reacting, but then you see someone look, and when someone sees you, of course that's someone you would gravitate to. So you have to be prepared for that, Miriam. Let's see. Hmm. I don't know. Okay, so Sarah asked a good question. Sarah DeBoard, do you know of a paranormal investigation group that could come investigate my house? I'm sorry, guys. Woo. Number one, I don't know where you live. The best resource is something Jay and I set up a long time ago, which was the Taps family. If you go online, hit Google and type in Taps family, it'll take you right to their site. And they list groups by state and by country that might be near you that have been approved through a rigorous process. Um, that they would probably investigate your home pretty close to the way Taps would, if not better. We put this list together a long time ago, and there are wonderful people there working to maintain it and to keep the standards upheld. But we can't claim any responsibility for their actions. So what I would do is I would go there to that list, see the group near you, contact them, and call them, email them, whatever. Just talk to them, and be calm, be cool, and be patient. They're doing all this stuff in their free time. So Jody says, do you get tired of people asking if you get scared? No, most people don't ask me if I get scared. They say, what's the scariest thing? And I have to explain to them that this doesn't scare me. Ghosts don't scare me. Demons don't scare me. The Inhumans, that doesn't bother me. I mean, we've been doing it for 30 years with intense involvement in negative or demonic style cases, occult activity, things like that. And look, I'm fine. I'm in one piece. I'm happy, healthy, got a great family. I'm not afraid of that. I'm afraid of the living people. The living people are scary as heck. Um, but the paranormal doesn't scare me. I just explain that it will surprise you. Things will happen that you don't expect, but I'm not afraid of it. Sort that cough out. Thanks. I know. Whew, a cough drop. um, have I been to Arizona? Yes, I've absolutely been to Arizona, and I believe I'm going there next year. It's part of an event. Um, let's see. Wow, you guys have a lot of questions. Yeah, spoke to Amy Bruni once. She said the living scared her too. Yeah, well, it's true. Almost anyone who's been doing this long enough, man, realize that there are crazy people out there. Was anything in the Ghostbusters movie right? Poetically, maybe. Their equipment in Ghostbusters was taken from real um, Nazi technology that they were working on to try to experience and explain the paranormal and obviously harness it. The PK meter comes from supposedly um, experimental Nazi um, technology. Now they had the ooze or whatever, the ectoplasm there. It doesn't quite work that way. I have experienced ectoplasm, and it dissipates very quickly. Um, but I believe they had it right with the whole kind of emotionally charging stuff. I believe that there's some truth to that. What was the last book you read? Quantum Parapsychology. Um, that's a crazy one. Sarah Soderlin and Jason did it. I'll see if I have it in my bookshelf. No, it's probably by my bed because I'm still reading it. If you were trapped in one movie for the rest of your life, which movie? Oh, for the rest of my life. It'd have to be a Lord of the Rings movie, probably. Yep. Okay, Don Wolf says, "What's the deal with a shadow person asking me if I need help?" Very weird. That's not weird. Don't let the shadowy part of it scare you. You know, if there's a shadow form that comes to you and asks you for help, um, maybe you should put fear aside and just say, "Okay, what do you need?" I believe that a shadow person is not a different type of entity; it's just a type of manifestation. So, don't let the shadow scare you. Black doesn't mean evil, or red doesn't mean evil. Um, just get an audio recorder, ask a few questions, say, "I can see you. I hear you wanting for help, asking for help. What do you need?" And hopefully you'll get some answers. But take some time to build a relationship of trust with that entity, and you'll get further. Let's see. Okay, Miriam's back. How do I get to develop such talent? You were so right. The one I saw came close to me and was even looking down at me. The very first step, Miriam, is to try to erase everything Hollywood has taught you. Like, your body will tell you if you're in a situation you shouldn't be in, but you have to erase the preconceived notions of what these entities are. So put fear to bed, and just talk to these things. And then try to find someone who maybe has these sensitivities and talk to them and see what they've done to improve them. You know, I do a lot of events with Chip Coffey, and other psychics who come just as attendees, who give great advice to each other. So I would highly recommend that. John is asking if I still see my childhood predator buddy. Yeah, he's not the predator anymore. He's fully solid. That was just the first few times. Yeah, to this day, um, it's kind of a long story. Um, don't really have time for. But yeah, I see him and others. I call him a him. I see it and others fairly regularly. Okay, Lil Chunk Gaming says, "Grantastic. What are your thoughts on so-called mediums such as Derek Acora?" Well, I don't know Derek at all. I approach psychics and mediums one at a time. For some reason, there's a rumor out there that I don't like psychics or I don't work with them. I try to get a psychic reading as often as possible, and I'm not testing the person. I figure it's time for them, to give it a shot, and you never know what they're going to say. If you don't put yourself out there in these strange paranormal situations, you're not going to get anywhere. But I take each medium and psychic on their own account. I try to I don't listen to what other people say about them. I go in and form my own opinion about them. And there are some that have blown me away. Very few. Um, but there are some that just are very good at picking up on your vibe and very good at telling you what you need to hear. I'm not saying they're fake. That's a talent, and it takes a sensitivity. And then there are others that just blow your mind. So I would approach them all as individuals, judge them by their morals, their fruits, and their works, and, their personality. Don't judge them as a group, as a whole. Have I met any Italia 8023? Have I met anyone from the Ghost Adventurers crew? Absolutely. I've met, I think I met them all. I've had many conversations with Zach Baggins. Aaron Goodwin and I have done a lot of crazy stuff together. Billy Tolley is one of my favorite people on the earth. He's wonderful. Um, he's let's see. Yeah, I mean, of course I know, Nick Groff. I mean, I've been on his show Paranormal Lockdown, and we've chatted here and there and done some events together, and he's just a good guy. So they're a cool group of people. When you get them and down and you talk to them, they all have great respect for me, which is flattering. But remember, their goals are different. They're kind of out there to explore and push the boundaries of the paranormal and to get an adrenaline rush out of it. Where my mentality is more, how can I help people feel more comfortable with it? Okay, Miguel says, "Do spirits ever mention a god?" That's a big question, man. There Over the 30 years of my investigating, I've asked about God. I've asked about the mysteries of the afterlife. And I stopped doing it because I would have great interaction with an entity. And then I say, "Hey, what is God like? Or what is heaven like?" And always ends the conversation. Either they don't know, or something doesn't let them finish the conversation, or it confuses them and they take off. I don't know. Whatever it is, it like breaks the chain of conversation. Now, talking through a medium would probably get you somewhere with more information. But I found that when you ask about God and heaven, the people that are talking to mediums say very little. I mean, the entities talking with the medium say very little, if anything at all. It's usually just kind of general. And I think there's kind of some unwritten law, maybe, that we're clearly not supposed to know what's coming. So I don't know. Maybe go on a personal quest, find some mediums that you trust, and start asking. Sure thing, man. When was the last time you encountered a spirit? Well, lost babe in London. It was actually while my whole mom thing. I had some encounters there. But before that, I was actually filming with a top secret group on a top secret little YouTube project. And we had some great interaction with some entities up there. So can't talk too much about it. They'll barbecue me alive. Okay. Debs McLeod. Do spirits use their life language, or can they communicate universally? This is a big point of contention here in the paranormal world. A lot of people are of two different mindsets. That, yes, they understand the intent of your feeling and your emotions and all that, and they can therefore understand what you're saying, but they then have to talk back to you. And I imagine that's going to come in their language. That's kind of the flaw in that one. So I try to go for the benefit of the doubt. I always try to speak in the entity's language. I'll use English, as well. But I always try to, use like Google Translate, or, or I speak Italian, so I can address Italian entities. I always recommend speaking their language if possible, because, I mean, every time I've dealt with an entity that spoke a different language, the EVPs I got were in a different language. So you need that kind of translation ability anyway. So you might as well have somebody there, or a device technology to put in the right language. Texas UFOs. Have you ever seen a UFO? Great channel, by the way. Yes, I have. Honestly, before I ever got into this stuff when I was 15, I was huge into UFOs and cryptids and conspiracy theories. I am just as into UFOs as I am in the rest of the ghosts and the hauntings and the inhuman stuff, the paranormal, what we call paranormal, even though UFOs are technically paranormal. I'm just as into it, but I don't chase it literally as much, because when you're hunting a ghost or paranormal investigating, you don't get someone in a suit knocking on your door making threats or infiltrating your computer. When you mess with UFOs, you mess with higher powers here, and I've seen much evidence of that. I've had lots of stuff happen to me. I've spoken with people who know way too much, and I can't say anything more than that. And I would take notes on my phone, only to find those notes were deleted and my icons rearranged on my phone. So there's a lot. It's a different level. Again, dead people not scary, living people scary. But I plan on my channel to talk more about the UFO, alien, cryptid side. I have a lot to talk about. I don't want to talk about everything weird, but I wanted to start with the ghost stuff to get a good foundation there and meet you guys where you expect me to be. So, yeah, a lot going on there. Amy Rozia, how well do you speak Italian? Io parlo abbastanza bene. How did I learn it? Well, I lived in Italy for 2 years. When I was 19, I left and went to Italy for 2 years and did service. I taught English and worked with autistic and Down syndrome kids. They have a really cool program over there where I call them kids. I'm sorry. We just called them kids in Italian, but these folks would, there was a program set up where they would build small things like lamps or bicycle parts or whatever at their own pace and get paid for it. But they needed people, volunteers like me, to go in and help them, stay focused or help them relax. We would take frequent breaks and dance or play soccer and, help them eat lunch and things like that. It was wonderful. And through that process, I learned Italian. Okay, Swag Maven. Wow, what a name. Do you suggest not using Ouija boards or seances when investigating? I don't. I don't feel that I need them. The scary thing for me with Ouija boards is not the board itself. It's that when you put your hands on that thing, you're sacrificing a fraction of your will. Like you want the entity to move it through you. And I don't think that's a smart thing because you never know who's going to come through with the Ouija board. And plus you have to have other people there and you don't know if you can trust them. It's a very fallible instrument. When we have other things that aren't as vulnerable, like a K2 meter. A lot of people ask me, what's the difference between a Ouija board and a K2 meter? Well, a K2 meter, I don't have to sacrifice my will. I push the button on and I put it down and I have a conversation. I'm not like holding a pencil and having the entity move the pencil for me. I'm not against that stuff. It's just I don't prefer that method. And honestly, I think the Ouija board maybe is a little too accessible. Like tools like that need to be in the hands of people who know what to expect. So anyway, thoughts on Area 51? You're looking in the wrong place. Area 51 is not where it's at. You want to look at Creech Air Force Base. Anyway, enough said. Okay. Hi, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. You live in a heck of a good place. All right. Okay. Bye, Bama, Bell, Liz. What's the best movie you've seen this year? Ooh. That's a tough one. I'm a big movie nut. My wife and I see movies all the time. Wow, man, that's a tough one. I'll give it some thought. Maybe get back on there. Is Karen Sinord? Hope I didn't offend you there. Is your wife into all this stuff? She absolutely is. My wife is who I investigate with now. My wife is very sensitive. She's empathic and beyond. She grew up with a lot of different experiences in her homes and that she lived in, and with her home that she lived in. And when I was filming the show and stuff, she dealt with a lot of paranormal stuff at home. She's very talented, and it's great because I trust her 100%. We're two peas in a pod, two halves of a whole, and that's a perfect kind of person to investigate with. Let's see. Looking forward to seeing you at Penhurst, Paracon, August 18th. Yeah, I'll be there. If you guys are anywhere near Penhurst, they're doing a Paracon there, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Um, what did I think of Hereditary? I did not want to see Hereditary, the movie. No interest in it. I don't like movies like that. I don't see the need to do that. It's all absolutely not how things are. Um, hang on. Sorry, this is my little dog trying to come in and out. I contrary to popular belief, I don't like horror movies. I don't like gore. I don't like horror. And I actually don't like to watch a lot of the paranormal movies because I find myself rolling my eyes the whole time. It's just not how it's done. So, I like movies where stuff blows up and Star Wars and superheroes and things like that. But some of them are done really, really well. Like What Lies Beneath was awesome, and The Others is very reflective of what it might be like to be an entity. Sixth Sense was pretty close. There are some good ones out there. Ghost, no, not at all. So maybe on the channel I'll do videos here and there breaking down some of these paranormal movies. If you think that's a good idea, let me know. Funniest moment in a TAPS investigation. There was a lot of farting in TAPS investigations. A second season, we were able to be out in California, and the producers had put together a blooper reel, and about half of it was just everybody passing gas. It was hilarious. You'd see like I'd fart or something, and then Jay would be like, "What was that?" And I'd be like, "It's emanating from my pants." It's funny. Anyway, the Conjuring movies. So I've investigated the Conjuring house. I know Andrea Perron. They're very close in some ways and very not in other ways. Oh, Shannon Walton, what inspires your songs? I love your music. Thank you, Shannon. It's terrifying putting your piano music out there, and there's my electric piano right there. I'm working on another album. This 2018 has just been a son of a gun, and it's been real tough to focus on it, but it's coming. And I'm inspired by nature. That's why my first album is called 1.618. It's all about the the golden ratio and how there's kind of order to beauty, natural beauty. Anyway, and I'm also inspired by emotions that are very hard to express with words. Okay. Yeah. James Perkins says, I know you don't like horror, gore and horror. When Taps investigated Hellfire Caves in season 3, you went on a Jack the Ripper tour, and I could tell you were uncomfortable. Yeah, of course. Not my thing. Uh-oh. There was some technical difficulties there. Oops. Sorry, guys. I'm new. Oksana says, we're watching you for blank screen for 37 minutes. I'm sorry. This is my first time trying to do live stream. Hopefully it's working well. You guys can hear me and everything's good. Oh, I enjoy all the videos. Thank you for inviting us into your life. You're welcome. There's going to be, as things hopefully settle down here, you're going to see a lot of cool stuff on the channel. But I don't want to spoil anything. Let's see. There it is. Have you ever been truly scared on an investigation? Only by the homeowners, not by the ghosts. Have I heard of the Bell Witch? Yes. Have I investigated there? Not really, no. Again, my whole thing is to help people in their homes or their businesses. So that's my main concern. It was fun to investigate Alcatraz and things like that, but it's not necessarily where my heart is. I don't feel like I'm making a big difference. Any hopes of a new album soon? Yeah, I'm hoping to have one. I can't believe it's August already. I hope to have one by the end of the year. It's been tricky, guys. It's been real tough. The Others, how close to reality do you think that movie might be? I don't know how close to reality, but I think that movie does a great job of helping you put yourself in the world of an entity. Like, what could it be like to be one of these? And are they just as scared of us as we are of them? And that's I believe that. I truly believe that's the case. I highly recommend that movie. Have I met any sensitive cats? No, I'm not a big cat fan. I don't hate them or anything. I like them. If there's a cat, I'll pet it and let it sit on my lap. But I wouldn't own one. I'm a dog guy. I like someone who's your best friend, not someone who's your roommate. But I'm glad there are people who like cats. Okay. Oh boy, Seasonalia. Hello, I'm also an investigator and wondering what is your favorite piece of equipment that you've got the best evidence from? Um, I, I still think the best evidence you could ever catch is from audio recorder. Um, just not only do you get actual answers that answer your question, but you can tell the gender, sometimes the age, the emotional state, the nationality. You can get so much from just a single word. Where video, you might get a strong piece of evidence, but I mean, you don't really have the whole story. You can tell how tall it is and how fast it moves. You might be able to get gender or time period, but I mean, have you seen the movies they make nowadays? Like, you can't really trust anything you see anymore. So let's see. Is the Ouija board the same thing as a spirit board? Yeah. Let's see. Will you be coming out to the West Coast? Yes, I believe that there's an event at the Queen Mary next year. In fact, I can do this right now. Hang on, I'm going to look at my calendar. Let me search for Queen Mary. I got so much going on. Queen Mary in yes, 2000 March of 2019. Strange Escapes, which is Amy Bruni's company, is doing an event at the Queen Mary. So I will be there. When you investigated Tombstone, Arizona back in the day, was there anything from that investigation that stood out to you? Yeah. I, the whole thing was wild. I mean, I saw a full body apparition I thought was a mannequin at first, then turn and run down the stairs. And that was scary. Well, surprising to me because I thought it was a mannequin. It was creepy. And I love seeing the bullet holes, like Doc Holliday's actual bullet holes in the floor. That place was incredible. Alan Evans, would you help Amy and Adam on their show Kindred Spirits? Of course. Of course I would. I don't think they need my help. I think they're absolutely wonderful investigators. But I would be there in a heartbeat if they asked. I love their show. I love them both. Let's see. Question one, Oksana, you mentioned that activity usually increases when you are around. What do you think that is? I don't know. What she's referring to is, you know, most of my life, activity would happen within 6 to 10 feet of me, and I actually had to be careful on the show because, anytime something would happen around me, I had to be like, "Geez, we have to we have to play this right because people are gonna think that I'm doing something," but it's been something that's happened my whole life. You can ask anybody, who's known me from then. I don't know what that is. I don't know if maybe the person in the group that is most reasonable or most reachable. I don't know. It's just as a thing, and I just had to deal with it. Did you prefer working in the USA or UK? I love the UK and Europe. I would work there all the time if I could. um, let's see. So many questions. Sorry. Explain what a portal means to you. So yeah, a lot of people use the term portal. I'm not necessarily a subscriber to the whole portal mentality. I haven't seen any evidence of it. Usually it's mediums and psychics that use that term. And I think what they might be meaning is that, this is a place that is frequented by a lot of entities. I don't think there are like portals that open up and entities pour out into our world. I think that if they're here on the earth, they can go wherever they want as long as their emotions or their desires allow them to. For example, if for some reason I passed away and I thought if I sat on my front porch, my wife would come home. And so I wouldn't leave that front porch because I'd be afraid to miss her. But I'm not physically attached to that porch. I could go anywhere I want in the world. Any plans to come back to the UK again? Yeah, I'm hoping to make it to SageCon or something like that over there next year. Someone was asking about mapping technology. I don't know what you mean by that. Are you talking about the SLS cameras, which are the Xbox Kinect cameras? Those are interesting. I think a lot of people use them wrong. So you know what these things are? It's a Kinect camera that sits in front of the Xbox, and so when you're playing the game, you can move your arms, and your character on screen will do the same thing. So people have been using this camera to film rooms, and the camera will recognize a human body there when there isn't anything there. But you have to understand a few things when you use this camera. You can't walk around with it. It shoots out IR light, and depending on the brightness of the light coming back, it can determine shapes. So if you're walking around, that's constantly changing, and it can't make sense of it, so it's going to try to put a person there. Understand that it's meant for video games. So it's meant to capture your body and your movements in a video game. And if it didn't do that well, then you wouldn't buy it because you'd lose at the video game. So it's going to always favor the human shape, and it's going to find it whenever possible, even if it's not there. And whatever you're doing, it's going to assume you're continuing to do it until it reconnects with you. So it's never going to find the shape of a cat or a dog. It's always going to find a human shape if it finds anything. So you have to be very careful with them. Just understand what they're there for. Okay. There is a Alex Yonish. I don't know how to say it. Sorry, buddy. There is a ghost hunting my house, and I don't know how to get rid of it. Can you tell me a way to get rid of it? Well, Alex, stop thinking of it as an it. And if something's in your house, haunting your house, you have to erase what these Hollywood movies have taught you. Get it out of your mind. Instead, think of it as a person. Yes, it's a stranger in your house. That's a little bit freaky, but get past it. This stranger needs help. If you were walking down the street and someone needed help, like they were hurt, I hope you're not the kind of person that would walk by. I'd at least see what's going on and if I can help. So approach it less as a Halloween haunted house and more as another person that needs help. And you have to go to them and you have to be patient with them and find out what they need. And it's very difficult for them to communicate their needs to us. So you have to be patient. So the solution is not to get rid of it. The solution is to get to know it to the point where you can help it. And then it won't have to be there bothering you anymore. Okay. You can't burn sage to make it go away. You can't throw holy water at it. It's another person with free will. These are my opinions. You're free to have your own, but this is over 30 years of experience is what it has taught me. You can't kick it out. You can ignore it, and maybe it'll be finally like, whatever, I don't want to deal with you, and go find someone else. But that's going to take a long time. So try to figure out what they might need and help. Okay, let's see. Let's see. How do you live stream? Please, I need to know. Well, I'm not a YouTube expert, but you go on your YouTube dashboard and there's a section on your channel that talks about live streaming. I'll walk you right through it. Start with your YouTube channel, go to your dashboard, and you can go from there. Have I ever met Amy Allen? TC asks. Yes, I have. She's a lot of fun. She's crazy, spontaneous, but very nice. Yeah. If you get a chance to meet her, I would recommend it. Okay, Miriam again. Do ghosts get absorbed in a mirror? All mirrors were covered during the wake of my grandma. Covering the mirrors is a tradition. Yeah, a lot of people think that the entity can't, when it leaves the body, it can't. It doesn't know where to go, and it looks in a mirror and it gets stuck in a mirror. I have zero evidence to support that. Mirrors are tricky. A lot of people, would look at them and for scrying, excuse me. And a lot of people take pictures of mirrors and see lots of weird things. And I have to remember with the mirror what it is. It's a piece of glass in front of a piece of shiny metal. So you have imperfections. You have dirt on the glass. Then you have imperfections on the glass. You have imperfections in the glass. You have light reflecting off the glass, light passing through the glass, imperfections on the back of the glass, imperfections in the metal, rusting, reflections, and stuff behind you. Like there are so many layers of stuff that can be crammed together to mislead you. I don't recommend taking pictures of mirrors. Now, I did take a mirror class where you learn how to look in the mirror a certain way and you start seeing different things. And that was pretty interesting. At first, you're looking at yourself and the lights have to be low and you're looking and all of a sudden, like your eyes start doing weird things because you're staring in one place, things fade and all that. And then all hell breaks loose, basically. I saw all these different shapes. At one point, it looked like an oil painting, but I'm pretty sure that's a trick of the eye. Now, if you are a sensitive or an old school medium or something like that, you might be able to read interpretations in that, like people do in tarot cards or auguring, where you look at birds and you can tell what that means, or the way leaves fall from a tree or tea leaves. Like they might be able to discern something from that. I don't have that skill. Mirrors, yeah, another world. LG Master Noob says he covers mirrors because he's hideous. I'm sorry, man. I don't believe that. Okay, did I get to hook up with Steve Huff in the end, or did he check you out instead? I believe Steve and I are aware of each other. I mean, I know who he is, and I'm really impressed by a lot of the stuff he does. I would love to connect with him, and I'll reach out to him. Like I said, this year has been nuts, but Jonah 023, staring in the mirror long enough and your face melts. He's right. That's what it's like. Weird stuff happens. What's the saddest ghost you've ever encountered? I really haven't. So that's a weird question. There are intelligent entities, and they're often not very sad. They just want help or they're confused. But I have seen a lot of residual, which there isn't an intelligence behind it, that are sad because it's usually caused by a traumatic event. There was one story I like to tell of a woman who was being haunted by an entity of a little girl in her house, and she had bought the house she grew up in. But she didn't know what it was, and we discovered that it was a residual because it would hide in the corner in the room and cry, or it would run down the stairs and try to get out the front door. But one day we were walking up the stairs, and it came walking down the stairs as we were walking up to it, upstairs, and she stared this thing in the face and broke down crying. And she was an older lady, but she realized that this residual entity that was haunting her house was her as a child. And she had these repressed memories of being abused by her father. And those were her trying to, the repeated actions of her trying to deal with it. So that's pretty sad, but there are a lot more, but I don't want to depress everybody. They're just people. If you understand the human condition, you'll be a good investigator. Let's see. Okay, Steve Huff is the man. I will really try to get to work with him. I'm impressed with what he does. Kirka Picard. Well, I don't know if you guys have ever followed me on Twitter, but I get William Shatner. He and I go back and forth all the time on Twitter, beating each other up. So if I said that I was a Kirk fan, that would just make him happy. So I have to say Picard. I was at an event with William Shatner, a Wizard World event where they have all these people from TV and movies, and they always share a green room. And oftentimes I'll run into him in the green room. And one time he said, "Hey, so what do you got going on now?" And I said, "Oh, I'm doing some piano music and I'm making board games." He's like, "Board games? Oh, that's interesting." I said, "Yeah, you should try them out." And he said, "Oh no, that's not my thing. I don't do that." And I said, "Oh yeah, that's what Patrick Stewart said you'd say." And from that point on, the missiles have been flying back and forth. So a lot of fun. I'm gonna take just a couple more questions. I want to end this around 7, if that's okay. And if you guys are enjoying this, I'll happily do this more regularly. So let me know in the comments in the chat if you'd really like to see this happen again. If it was a bomb and you didn't like it, say that too. I mean, I'm here for you guys. I want to spread information and get to know you guys. Have you considered delving more into, this is Natalie, have you considered delving more into international lore as you travel? For example, Italian customs regarding ghosts? Yes, absolutely have. My wife and I, we love to travel. And what's beautiful about this YouTube channel and the shows we're doing is we want to share more of ourselves with you. And this gives us a reason when we travel to discover stuff for you guys and share it with you. So we're super excited about that. Do any investigations stick out as being demonic? Yeah, a lot. I don't like to use the term demonic. I like to use negative. I call them negative entities. Demonic empowers the entity itself. I mean, I say demon and you picture a demon. So I like to call them negative. I've dealt with many of them. I know how to deal with them. They don't scare me. They don't bother me. It's just about, they usually come across as either an intelligent haunting or as, possession or depression. And you have to be able to discern when it's a negative one. And sometimes they try to trick you and mess with you and they'll pit you against each other. But I know how to deal with it. Getting rid of it's easy. Keeping it away is the hard part, as I've said in my videos, because those things don't just pop up out of nowhere. They are attracted to people who are doing bad things. Yeah, I've dealt with them a lot, and I still deal with them constantly. I deal with a bunch of them anyway. Tasha just saying hi. Good to see you. Hey, all right. Hi, Tasha. Do I believe in heaven and hell? Are you religious? Whoa, that's a big question for like 2 minutes left. I was raised in a religious family. I consider myself spiritual. I don't necessarily subscribe to a particular religion. Religions are good. They do a lot of good for a lot of people and they do a lot of good in the world. And I love them for that. But they also tend to want to put everybody in these little boxes. And I don't think it works that way. My definition of religion is my relationship between me and my creator, whoever that might be. And we could be the same religion sitting next to each other in the same pew at the same church, listening to the same sermon and having two totally different experiences. But there is goodness in getting like-minded people together. But I'm spiritual. I believe in being a good person. I believe in a lot of things that I won't get into here. But heaven and hell, I don't think it's that cut and dry. And I don't think hell is a fiery pit. And I don't think heaven is where we sit around and play harps. So let's move on. Let's see. When are you going to Disney World again? I go many times a year. I'm a season pass holder and a DVC, Disney Vacation Club member. We go a lot. My wife and I are hoping to try to break away in September when the crowds are a little low. Oh, let's see. These are great questions, guys. If I don't answer your question, let's do this again and bring those questions back. My favorite video game from Jono 23. World of Warcraft. Play it all the time, been playing it for years. All right, guys, I'm going to take one last question and then we're going to call it a night. Okay. Let you guys get to your Saturday night plans and all the fun you expect to have. So, let's see. Do you believe evil can become attached to a human? Lorinda says. Um, yes, but not like that. I think you can't just be a good guy whistling and skipping down the street like Mickey Mouse and all of a sudden evil will attach itself to you. Like I say all the time, it's like a lion and a gazelle. It chases the sick and the weak. So even if evil is attached to you, this is negative or demonic, whatever you want to call it. That doesn't, it's not permanent. You can get rid of it very easily. And then we have to work hard to keep it away. So, guys, I think you guys are fantastic. I love you all very much. Thank you for coming and spending this hour with me. Stay tuned for more craziness at the channel as I get back on my feet. We got a lot of good things planned. Thank you guys so much. Have a great Saturday.